What's good? What's good, everybody? Welcome to another edition of Giants Conversation, where we talk about one of the worst teams in the NFL on a weekly basis. But we do it with a smile and we do it with integrity, and we have general fun about it. So, y'all tune in. I'm Unpopular Opinion Sports here with my ace boom coon, Mr. Big Pat Sports Talk, man. And we're gonna get into these Giants who got a new quarterback. Y'all wanted a quarterback? We got one. We're gonna talk about all that and more right after commercial. Let's go.
Welcome to Giants CONVO.
All right, man. Let's get into it, man. Welcome, man. Appreciate all y'all for tapping into New York Giants Conversation. And man, we got a new quarterback. Finally. New York Giants signing Jameis Winston. And personally, I'm excited. I'm excited to see what old famous Jameis Winston is going to do out there. We know he loves to throw touchdowns and loves to throw interceptions just as equally. But all that said, man, he's a good dude. Actually, a very talented quarterback despite the turnover problems. And I think he's a good locker room presence for the rookie quarterback that you're about to draft with the number 3 overall pick. Now, a lot of people giving pushback, people even saying that they still looking at Aaron Rodgers. Miss me with all that. It's going to be Jameis Winston and more than likely Shedeur Sanders. Pat, how do you feel about Jameis Winston signing with the Giants, and what kind of impact you think he can have on this team?
I actually think Jameis Winston being signed was probably the best option for him, other than Russell Wilson. Russell Wilson says that it's reported that he's asking for between $20 and $25 million a year. So we got Jameis Winston for $8 million for 2 years.
Oh, so that report of 5 was just bogus.
Yeah, it was bogus.
I figured so.
Yeah, why would he come and ask for $5 million? That doesn't make any sense. But I do believe, let's say we do draft Shedeur Sanders at number 3, and say you don't want to play him immediately. Let's say Jameis Winston just wins out in training camp or whatever. He can learn from Jameis Winston on being fearless. I mean, Shedeur Sanders is already fearless, but he can look at Jameis Winston and be like, okay, yeah, he's super fearless. But he can also teach Shedeur Sanders on, don't be as fearless as me, don't be as careless as me with the ball. Do what I do, but don't be careless. Jameis Winston don't give a damn. He's just gonna throw the ball in there.
He don't.
He's gonna throw the ball up. If you want to see some exciting football this year, and Jameis Winston is playing, you're gonna see some exciting football. He's gonna throw the ball down the field. He's gonna put the ball in tight spaces. And is he gonna make mistakes? Yes. But you want Shedeur Sanders to play like that with less mistakes. Don't take that pass when you don't have to. But when you see you have a chance to take it with Malik Neighbors, throw it back shoulder or throw it over the top, he's definitely going to teach Shedeur Sanders not to have any lack of confidence going out there on the field. And he's a kooky leader, but he's a leader. People respect Jameis Winston, whether you believe it or not. A lot of coaches speak highly of Jameis Winston. They say he can play some ball. He's just careless. You know what I'm saying? He has a carefree attitude. He's not bothered by anything. He's not bothered by this media. You can say everything that you want to say about Jameis Winston. He's going to go out there. He's going to have fun. And he's energetic. He's something that this franchise needs, man. They need an energetic guy to go out there and get them pumped up to play the game. He's going to laugh with the guys. He's going to joke with the guys. He's going to do those pre-game speeches that are going to be absolutely hilarious. And he's just a good dude. You know what I'm saying? He's just a good dude to be around. And people already trying to bring up past stuff that the Eagles wasn't even charged for. It came out to be the person was lying, and it's been reported. Go look at the documents. If you can look at that, go look at the real too. So you can call him crab legs, you can call him whatever you want to call him, but the dude, he's gonna make some money in the New York media. I'm telling you that now.
Yeah,
he's marketable. So I'm happy with the signing, and I'm glad that he's here, man.
Yeah, let's take a look at some of the Jameis Winston's little funny clips here. Let me get a good laugh here this morning. Shout out to the chat, man. Crowd favorite media, Iman Perry, what's good? What's hood? Vinny G-Man, what's good? Ghost Dog, what's good, man? Appreciate you tapping in. Jay Furries, what's good, man? Appreciate you tapping in. Tyrone Hall, Koof, man, what's good? Appreciate y'all all tapping in too. Another edition of Giants Conversations. Let's listen in on let's get a little bit of famous Jameis vibes as we start the show here this morning. Jameis Winston, boy, dude's a character.
As a kid, my passion was always football, right? But being taken away from the game, I didn't realize that my passion was playing football. The best back condoms, tandems in the league, right? With Latavius and Alvin. I heard some Snickers, but excuse my language, right? One of the best tandems in the league, right? So
it's hot. It's fine.
you're almost fast, yeah. Right. And I said, are you strong? They said, I'm strong if you strong. And I said, we strong, man. Just like that. Woo! You look, you got clothes on, because I slapped you right in that chest. As a kid, my passion
That dude
was
funny.
always.
That's a funny dude, bro. I ain't gonna hold y'all, yeah. He gonna have us laughing. It's gonna be some
Weather
good
conditions
moments.
tonight. We're expecting winds up to 15 miles per hour and a wintry mix. How will that impact your ability to throw the ball?
I am so happy and grateful that the Lord has blessed me to play in some snow, to be in true football weather in Cleveland, Ohio, at Huntington Bank Field today to give him the glory. It's a beautiful day.
Weather conditions tonight. We're expecting winds up to 15 miles
but
per
he
hour
actually
and a
went out
wintry
there and
mix.
balled, though.
How will that impact your
He
ability to
He
throw the
went out
ball?
there and they beat the Steelers in that game.
I am so happy and grateful that the Lord has blessed me to play in some snow, to be in true football weather in Cleveland, Ohio, at Huntington Bank Field today to give him the glory. It's a beautiful day.
Weather conditions tonight.
Yeah, man. We definitely gonna have some fun with Jameis Winston, man. But real talk though, man. Real talk, man. Like, dude can play, man. Dude can really play some football, and we're gonna see. We're gonna see what he does with the Giants. What's good with the chat, man? This is New York Giants Conversations, so we do want to include you guys in the conversation. Checking in with my fellas. Coach Ed, salute. Giants suck. Have to agree. Koof Man says Winston isn't the worst. I don't know why fans are mad. We need a veteran QB as a bridge. Yes. Fans are mad because they can't get the quarterback that they want. The proper looking quarterback, if you know what I mean. Winston is a character from a early GTA game.
That's a fact. That dude, like, he's gonna have a huge career in media after he's
Yes, he is.
The crazy part about it, he's only like 30 years old, and you would think he's like a 15-year vet, but he's only like 30 years old, and people forget that he wasn't even the number one pick overall to the Bucks. So he has talent. He has arm talent out this world. So if you're looking for the strong arm quarterback to get the ball down the field, he's gonna do it. He's gonna do everything he possibly can to win a game. That's why really never really out of a game with Jameis Winston unless he's throwing pick sixes. Now, if he's throwing pick sixes, you're gonna get crushed. But he's that type of guy that when the game is like 28-7, and all of a sudden the game is like 28-24 because he done put 3 good drives in a row, and he's made some plays. So guys are gonna get their stats, and they're gonna like playing with him. And he's just gonna make mistakes, bro. Like the very first game, he might throw 3 touchdowns and 4 picks. You know what I'm saying? Like he's that type of player. And Dak can actually, you know, hold you over until your rookie quarterback is ready. You know what I'm saying? Jerry Jeudy had his best season in his career with Jameis Winston playing quarterback. Because he wasn't getting passes like that when Deshaun Watson is in there. But when Jameis Winston went in there, Jerry Jeudy started going off. They just weren't a good team. And, you know, they had, you know, the Browns got similar vibes to what the Giants have over here. You know what I'm saying? They got similar vibes like that over there. But this guy could change that. You know, he brought excitement to Cleveland. Like, they beat the Ravens and the Steelers. You know what I'm saying?
Now, imagine if we can beat 2 of our top division rivals. That's a step forward for sure.
And like I said, this is not a move to where, Jameis Winston's going to be the quarterback of the future and everything. Like, people always try to go overboard. This is a signing. He's a bridge quarterback. He knows what he's brought there for, and he's just happy to play. And he's going to get that 2-year, $8 million contract. He's going to play probably half the first year. If we're losing, the rookie quarterback is going to come in, and he'll be the backup to the rookie the next year. You know what I'm saying? You already know what Jameis is. You know what Jameis brings. I mean, and he's going to make some passes. And look, if Malik Neighbors could get passes like that from Jameis Winston and break off in the open field, it's on.
It's on, bro.
You know what I'm saying?
I'm going to tell you right now, it's on, because what we need is somebody that's going to pull the trigger. All y'all complained about Daniel Jones being gun shy. This dude is the complete opposite. He throwing bullets left and right.
Yeah.
Firing all over the field. You know what I'm saying? Not scared at all. Not gun shy. Maybe we could see a better version of, like Vinny said, Hyatt. Maybe we could see Slayton finally get 1,000 yards. You know? And just think of the combination. We're going to get into a tweet by Josina Anderson here. But think about the example that he can set for your rookie quarterback coming in, because now you know you got a guy that can go in there and at least hold it down. Like, Jameis Winston is not going to go out there and look like Tommy DeVito.
That's a fact.
See what I'm saying? You know you're going to be able to pass the ball with Jameis Winston. You know? You know he's going to throw it, regardless or not. You know, just like that pass right there could have easily been a pick. Some quarterbacks wouldn't have. Daniel Jones probably would have threw that ball.
Yeah, he damn sure wouldn't have.
But he threw it, and guess what? He had enough arm strength to get it in there for a touchdown.
Daniel Jones would have never thrown that ball.
Confidence, bro.
Yeah.
This dude is confident, man. I like that about Jameis Winston. He ain't scared. You want to see that on the field. This is what the change that we wanted from the previous quarterback. Not to keep harping on DJ, Daniel Jones, but this is what he wasn't doing out there, football-wise. Getting the ball down the field, pulling the trigger.
Look at that pass to
hitting the
right
open man.
Over the linebacker right before the DB gets there. And he's elusive in the pocket, believe it or not. And let's say he's confident in Theo Johnson. Theo Johnson might be able to make some plays like that. And these players will gain confidence with Jameis Winston out there. Will they win a lot of games? Probably not. But they will gain confidence for the new quarterback to come in there, because now they know they can make plays such as this. You got to allow your players to go out there and make plays for you. That's what Jameis Winston does. You're going to really see who these guys are with a guy like Jameis Winston out there, because he's going to throw the ball to you, make a play. And he's not gun shy, man. That's the thing I love about Jameis. He's not gun shy. He's gonna throw the ball, and that dude can launch it, bro.
Yeah,
I can see Hyatt getting passes like that from him and gaining confidence and going into the next season with high confidence. I can do this. You know what I'm saying? I'm not limited. You know what I'm saying? Like some of these players, I believe they believe they're limited. Like Jalen Hyatt, he believes he's limited because he can't get in the game because we couldn't push the ball down the field for whatever reason it was. You want to blame DJ? Go ahead, because he was a part of it. But passes like this and you out there running routes confidently because you know you can get the ball at any given time, that makes your team play faster. It makes your team play more confident. And hell, you're going to put up some points. And if this defense plays the way that I believe they can play, I don't know. You know what I'm saying? We might surprise some people. Jameis go out there, throw up 30 points, and we hold a team to 20. We win that game. But go ahead.
Yeah, man. Nah, you right though. You know, let's score some points, man. Score some points, man. I want to score some points finally. I feel good about the defense, but I want to score some points. Bookend, shout out to Bookend Tackles. We already know who he is. He's a good stopgap, not too much money, and has talent, just a bit reckless. But we'll have some good highlights with Neighbors. Right. I think we'll have some with Slayton and Hyatt as well. Wandale Robinson, I don't have much confidence in. I'm sorry. I'm very down on this kid.
We're going to have to restart the stream.
What?
It took the stream down.
What?
I don't know.
Let's see. They do this dumb crap sometimes. Because we ain't doing anything wrong. That music is not copyright.
It took it down on the network. So you have to redo it on the network.
Okay. It says we're live. I don't understand.
It's on your channel, but it's not live on the network.
That doesn't make any sense.
I have no idea.
All right. So I guess go to Unpopular Opinion Sports for now till we figure it out, or you could keep watching it on Twitter. That's weird. That makes no sense. Y'all fucking with us, man. Stop that. But anyway, doesn't make no sense. The music is not copyright. We didn't show any copyrighted content.
But it's still up on yours, so that's cool, I guess.
Yeah, that's why it's corny. But anyway, all right, let's keep it pushing, man. We ain't gonna let them slow us down. Let's get into a little bit of this. Where did I have it? Right here. All right.
Oh, now it's back up. I don't know what happened.
See what I'm saying? It don't make no sense. This booty. This booty cheeks.
We back up, man. That's crazy. I don't know.
Hating on the Aboriginals. Hate.
Yeah, hate.
We know how to maneuver YouTube. We ain't gonna do nothing to get us banned. So y'all know
Right.
y'all out of pocket. Come on, like EJ said, another stupid act by the tube. All right, let's get back to it. So Josina Anderson tweeted this out a couple days ago. And right after after the news came out about signing Winston. So she says, with Jameis Winston visiting the Giants today, and my article yesterday below that New York Giants should withdraw from the Aaron Rodgers role ceremony and focus on pairing their rookie QB with a more compatible and economical vet. It's a good time to remember that Winston had his best QBR, touchdown percentage, and interception percentage, and a 5-2 start under Sean Payton before an ACL injury derailed his season in 2021. point is, teams need to do a deeper dive on what Peyton did with Winston that year. When asked what the secret sauce was to reining Winston in, I was told certain route concepts, along with avoiding the ones that had given him trouble in his past, tailored plays around his strengths per league source. It's so easy to label a player, but it's more productive to figure out why he was thriving. Either pair Winston or Wilson with Shedeur Sanders and move on. Now, in a subsequent tweet, or another tweet, she says this: the right decision was made today for Jameis Winston and the Giants, in my opinion. Additionally, you went out of your way today to try to do something this morning for 9 hours and kept your word. I overheld it out of other courtesies separate of that. That aside, it will be interesting to cover the quarterback's room with you and Shedeur outside of Cleveland potentially having something to say about it at the number 2 draft spot, of course. So, Josina with another earful, as she always does, putting information out there. Shout out to Miss Anderson there. Pretty much alluding to what me and Pat have been alluding to the whole time, that this is the bridge for Shedeur Sanders, and the move is for Shedeur to go to the Giants at number 3 outside of Cleveland, throwing a monkey wrench in this. And the only reason I think Cleveland would do that is to try to get something from the Giants, meaning that they would take Shedeur in lieu of a trade to the Giants to get more picks. Only reason that's going to happen because they're not taking Shedeur Sanders, the Browns, to play him. You know, they want Abdul Carter. From everything I've been hearing, Cam Ward's going number 1. One way or the other. You may see a trade, but I think Tennessee is locked in on that pick. Now, the tweet before that, I want to come back to that real quick, Pat. When she said, when she talked about pairing Jameis Winston and Shedeur Sanders, and with Jameis Winston, as far as Jameis Winston and what Sean Payton did with him, yeah, that's what I want to get to. And the scheme as far as certain route concepts and avoiding the ones that giving and tailoring plays to his strengths. So I got it highlighted right there on the screen. I want you to speak because I know you watch a lot of film. Comment in the chat. You guys can comment too. I'm going to open the call line up here a little bit earlier. Waiting to see if one of my guys will pop in before we do that. But I'm going to open the call line up a little bit earlier because I really want to get into this conversation. This is New York Giants Conversation. I'm NYG22 with Big Pat Sports Talk. Y'all hit that like button. Pat, talk about what route concepts and what scheme you think Jameis can thrive in.
When you actually go look at that Saints year, the scheme Jameis Winston really thrives in is what I think this team can thrive in, as far as throwing the ball deep down the seam, those deep posts with people like Slayton using their speed to go across the field, Malik Neighbors being able to do those drag routes across the field. He's actually pretty accurate in the middle of the field. That's why I think they went and got Jameis Winston, since the Aaron Rodgers, thing fell through. I actually think a deeper passer game fits Jameis Winston. If you're going to go and do that short passing game, I probably would have been more to Russell Wilson. But if you want to open up the playbook and open up your passing game and have that passer thing where per pass is 7 to 8 yards, that's the best system for Jameis Winston. Using the tight ends on post corners and up the seam. He's not scared to throw those passes, and he does know how to throw that pass over a defender and get it down before a safety or somebody comes over and picks it off. So I actually think if Dabo, you know the offense that we ran against the Colts, that's what Jameis Winston does tremendously well. If you can get people open to where he's not trying to force things, he will have a great season like that season he was before he tore his ACL with the Saints. It was 14 touchdowns to only 3 picks. And he was playing very well. And he knows how to maneuver in the pocket. If that offensive line blocks like how they were blocking before Andrew Thomas went down, I think Jameis Winston can make a little noise. Now, is he going to be all-pro? No. But I do believe he can make a little noise. He can have a 28 touchdowns to 14 interception season, and that's not horrible, because Jameis is going to throw some picks. He's going to if we're down about 14 points or something, he's going to throw some passes to try to get those points put back on the board to get us a win. That season, I think he was with the Saints that year, where he had 14 touchdowns and only 3 picks before he got hurt. Right season
here,
right there. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? And he had a 59% completion percentage because they were throwing the ball deep all the time.
Yeah, look at his yards per attempt here.
Yeah, 7.3. You know what I'm saying? 7.5, 7.3, 7.2, 8.2, 7.9, 7.9, 7.6. He thrives in throwing that ball deep, man. That's what he does. You know what I'm saying? His rookie year, 22 touchdowns, 15 interceptions. He's going to throw some interceptions. He's going to 28 to 18 the next year. But look at that, 4,000 yards. He got hurt his 3rd year in Tampa, but he still threw for 3,500 yards. Then the next year, got hurt again, 2,900 yards. But then that year that he came back, right before he got released because old man Brady came.
Yeah, that was his 5th year, right?
Yeah, he had 5,100 yards, 30 touchdowns, 33 touchdowns, 30 picks. So they was throwing that ball all over the yard, man.
319 yards a game.
Yeah.
Gosh, dog.
8.2 yards a attempt. You know what I'm saying? That's what he does. And if you can find a way to where you can have the weapons out there that can get open, he can have an incredible season. Like he's a talented dude. Jay Ferry, he didn't give a damn over there in Tampa. He was just throwing the ball out there. And believe it or not, man, it was a couple of interceptions that wasn't his fault. They were, one interception went off a dude's back. He was trying to catch it with his back, and it went off the dude's back. So you just got to take the good and the bad with Jameis Winston. That's the only reason why he can't be a franchise quarterback, because he takes too many risks. But those risks, you get a lot of rewards and a lot of those risks too. So
that's a fact.
If you want exciting football, this is the guy that you want. You know what I'm saying? Like he's the type of quarterback that you can have a bad season, but still be like, you know what? We had some exciting plays. He's that type of quarterback.
Yeah, man, definitely, man. I think I think too, if you're thinking about down the field and you're thinking about, that's why I want to ask you that. Think about the receivers we got. Slayton, down the field threat. Hyatt, down the field threat. Malik Neighbors, down the field threat. Theo Johnson, down the field threat. So to have somebody to throw the ball down the field and not be afraid to take shots is going to help all 4 of those players. And I think that's why, like you said, they went with Jameis Winston over Russell Wilson. And, it's economically, it makes sense. And scheme, it's a scheme fit more because they want to open up the offense. They obviously want to throw the ball more down the field. Otherwise, you wouldn't have these fast-ass receivers. What point is it? So I can see what Dable and them are seeing, like, scheme-wise, by bringing in a guy like Jameis Winston, and it will translate well with Shedeur Sanders because he can just be a more accurate version of Jameis Winston. You know what I'm saying? More higher, probably completion percentage. You know what I'm saying? Better accuracy, better decision making. Jameis might have a stronger arm, but y'all act like Shedeur Sanders don't have no arm strength. That's why y'all be capping.
Yeah,
it's bullshit.
I see this in the chat, man. Shout out to Fred Allen, man. If you haven't subscribed to the network, hit that like and subscribe button to the Aboriginal Sports Network. Dime Drawer 4. This is my first time seeing you here, brother. Thank you for tuning in. Hit that like and subscribe button for us here on the network. He says, what do you think about the Giants signing Craven Moorhead to shore up the O-line? Great. If he can come in and be a solid backup or take the job, great. Offensive lineman is needed here with the Giants, bro. I do appreciate you tuning in. And then he had to get his Shedeur Sanders thing in there. He said Sanders' delivery is slow as fuck. He's gonna be a sack machine. Not very true, but I think we need to go ahead and put Shedeur Sanders on the draft journal and go ahead and show these people what Shedeur Sanders is about. I think there's gonna be a draft journal you guys are gonna see here in the coming weeks, man. Go check out the draft journal right here on the Aboriginal Sports Network, exclusive
fire
to the ABSN. But do appreciate you, Dime Drawer, man. Opinions are always welcome, brother. Vinny G, good to see you again. Go ahead, NYG. Just saw some new people in the chat.
Yeah, man. Thank y'all for tuning in. Please hit that like button. Please consider subscribing to the network, as well as Unpopular Opinion Sports and Big Pat Sports Talk. We are the Aboriginal Sports Network, along with many others. So you'll be seeing guys hopefully pop in on the show a little bit here later on as we open up the call line. But I'm telling you, man, it's serious with the hate with Shedeur Sanders, and it is time to really break down the film and really show you guys what it is and what it ain't. Because people want to say, oh, he had a bad offensive line, but he takes too many sacks.
yeah.
Isn't the old line responsible for them sacks?
Yeah, people be
make it make sense, man. Like, you guys can't talk to, especially me, without making some type of sense. That don't make no sense. And yeah, some of the sacks is on the quarterback. I understand that. You know, and it's not like these aren't things that he could work on. I'm not saying the dude's a perfect quarterback or a perfect prospect. No, nobody is. But don't act like, oh, he's just taking all these sacks because he's just drifting in the pocket. He just don't see the lineman. Oh, no. Pike, you know, you got two dudes in your face. Of course you're going to drift and try to get the fuck out of there. What you going to do? Run into him? Poof. This is football. You run away from the defenders. So I'm telling y'all, you have to make sense when you're talking on the network here with me and Pat. Now, if you want to say he holds onto the football a little bit too long, I can give you that. But this drifting in the pocket and him taking all these sacks because he doesn't have awareness or anything is just false. It's because of the line, dude. They're one of the worst offensive lines in college football. And he coming to one of the worst college lines in pro football. So, again, there's adjustments that are going to be made and improvements that are going to be made. And you guys act like just because Sanders is a polished prospect that he doesn't have room for improvement. The same thing can be said about Cam Ward. Mm-hmm. The things that Cam Ward needs to work on that Shedeur Sanders already has. You know, so none of these guys and none of the previous quarterbacks are perfect prospects. That's why they're in the NFL. Most of them are struggling right now, except for a couple. So you have to understand that these guys are going to get better as they get better coaching in the NFL. The stat thing can be fixed. Him taking or holding on to the footballs, things like that can be fixed. And yes, you can change your delivery points as a quarterback if that's what you're going with. So talk to me. Let's talk football.
If you want to talk about people saying that he has a slow or raggedy delivery, where you're saying the same thing about Drew Brees, because if you put them side by side, they got the same delivery, the exact same delivery. How Drew Brees throws the ball, that's exactly how Shedeur Sanders throws the ball. And it's been compared. You can go look it up. They put them side by side. It was the same arm angle, the same delivery, the same way it came out. You know what I'm saying? So, and Drew Brees, we all know what he did. So, I just think it's just people nitpicking to find something to say something bad about this kid. And it's kind of weird. I mean, there's many reasons you could be doing it. Maybe you're just a hater. Maybe you just don't like the kid. Maybe you just don't like his daddy. Maybe you don't like the way he talks. I find people saying they don't like the way he talks. He talks slurred, or you know what I'm saying? Like, he got a country twang to his voice, or he wears chains, even though every other athlete and everybody wears chains. They got the money to buy it. They're gonna buy it. You know what I'm saying? I don't know, man. It's just something weird. And they just don't like this kid. I guess he's the guy that the NFL picked to pick on during the draft process, because they normally do it to a lot of. It's always that one athlete they find to pick on. I guarantee you during draft day, you're gonna find something. He has a history behind him, just like the kid from Marshall, the defensive end from Marshall. Now they're saying he has something in his background that teams are not going to be looking towards. He's going to drop down draft boards tremendously. They did the same thing to Warren Sapp, Larry Tunsil, Randy Moss. You know what I'm saying? They did this to a lot of people. So it's just weird. They actually did it to C.J. Stroud. That's why he didn't go number 1. He went number 2. So. There's a lot of games being played because people do that to make people fall. Ojulari, that's how he got here. They talked about a knee injury of his that he had in high school. He
you know what I'm saying?
His whole college career, no problems. And then he gets to the draft, and all of a sudden, he had a knee injury in high school.
What's good with you?
What's going on, Rob Z?
I see y'all in the chat, man. Y'all keep commenting in the chat, man. We definitely appreciate y'all tapping into Giants conversation. We're going to open up the call line here in just a little bit. But speaking on Shedeur Sanders and the whole quarterback thing, because, I know a lot of people put out the energy that the Browns want to take Shedeur at with the second overall pick. So let's see what I think this is a Schefter here, Adam Schefter here, speaking on this. So let's listen.
He mocked them taking Shedeur Sanders. Field Yates did a little mini mock last week, did the same thing. Mocked them taking Shedeur Sanders. If they believe Shedeur Sanders is good, first of all, is Shedeur Sanders going to be there at 3? Do we expect that?
I believe he will be available at 3 for the Giants. And by the way, they don't know that right now because Cleveland holds 2 and Tennessee's at 1. But I think when you talk to people around the league, the sense is that Cleveland would like Cam Ward. I think Cam Ward's going to be the number 1 pick. Unless Cleveland trades up to 1, I don't think it's going to get Cam Ward.
Right.
And in which case, I think Cleveland goes either Abdul Carter or Travis Hunter. And if they go for one of those guys, then that leaves Shedeur Sanders sitting there at number 3 for the New York Giants, if that's the direction they want to go. And by the way, the Giants and Shedeur Sanders have been linked up for quite some time. If we go back to December in the Alamo Bowl, wasn't Shedeur Sanders he had giant cleats with him, right? And is there any star player that's any more prepared for the bright lights in big city, just like Eli Manning was back in the day? Shedeur Sanders also would have been trained for this city at this time. And so we'll see how this all plays out. We'll see if Aaron Rodgers decides what he wants to do. But it certainly feels like Shedeur Sanders is going to be there at 3 for the Giants to make a decision on, and that would make a lot of sense.
Okay.
Okay. So, don't believe NYG. Don't believe Big Pat. Maybe y'all believe Adam Schefter. I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah, a little bit more clout. You know what I'm saying? You know, Giants fans don't believe anything unless it's come from somebody with some clout.
You know what I'm
And
saying?
they could be wrong as I don't know what, but hey, they got that clout, so it's the gospel.
It's gonna happen, y'all. Get ready. It's gonna happen, man. And I, for one, can't wait. Can't wait. My Bart Scott voice, man. You know, because the leadership, man, we need this culture change. You know, it's starting to happen. You got Jameis Winston in here. It's starting to happen. You got that dog over there called Malik Neighbors. Get Sador in here. You know, you got some dogs on defense. You know, build that offensive line up. What do y'all see this mock we about to put out?
Oh man, the mock draft that we got is coming out tomorrow morning. It was a heck of a time doing that mock draft, man. Me, NYG, and TP, man. You guys are going to enjoy that mock draft. So be on the lookout for that mock draft tomorrow morning, dropping 11 a.m. Eastern time. We're going to have a fun time watching that mock draft, man. We had a blast, man. So we going to be ready for the comments. We're going to be ready for the hate. You know what I'm saying? But that's what we do over there at Virtual Sports Network, man. Yeah. I believe that Shador is coming to us at number 3. And old crab legs, Jameis Winston, like I said, he'll start out the season. And believe it or not, if he starts to play well, Shador won't have to play his first season in the NFL. You know what I'm saying? If he's playing well, let's say he's doing well enough to get us in the beginning of the season, the first 10 games of 4-6 or 5-5 record. I believe you stay with Jameis Winston and let him finish out the season. Especially if he goes there and he beats somebody like the Eagles or he beats somebody like the Commanders. You gotta let him go out there and play and let Shador take some punishment off his body, let him get a year of rest. So you have to go out there and get punished behind another offensive line and let Jameis Winston show exactly what he can do and be like, hey kid, this is what you can do. You come in here. Just don't make the same mistakes that I was doing. And he's the type of guy that would say that. He would say that.
Yeah.
Go out there and kill it, man. I went out there, I threw 28 touchdowns, but I threw 20 picks. You go out there, you throw 35 and 10 picks, man, we gonna win something. And he's that type of player. You know what I'm saying? Do everything I was doing, but don't take the risk that I'm doing. You know, so it is what it is, man. I like the combination, and he's more of a leader than people give him credit for, man.
Definitely. That mock is coming out. Jay Ferris, like I said, we are going to we're going to drop it tomorrow. Be on the lookout for that, and it is for Zaya. It's very controversial though. You guys gonna like it. And we do have a previous mock that we did where we did take Shador Sanders and kind of went chalk in that regard. So check out that as well on the network. And man, we're gonna be doing more draft content. We got the draft journals coming out. You know, we're gonna hit it hard here on Giants Conversation. So we got y'all covered. New York Giants fans, draft fans, NFL fans, all fans, man. Keep it locked here, the Aboriginal Sports Network. Yeah, man. So Eric Johnson also asks, what are your next draft picks after Sanders in our 2 to 7 round mocks? I don't want to spoil you the mock, so y'all tap in definitely and peep that out, man. It's gonna be interesting. I'm just gonna tell you, it's gonna be very interesting and entertaining as well. How do Aborigines feel about moving up to number 2? I don't really want to do that, to be honest with you, because I don't think you need to. I think you gotta call Cleveland's bluff. If they're like, oh, we gonna trade and you ain't gonna get Shador. All right, cool. I'll take you through Carter.
Yep.
What you gonna do?
I'm getting a generational talent.
You know what I'm saying? What you gonna do? We got picks. We got 2 third-round picks. We can trade up and get Milroe. What you gonna do? Y'all ain't gonna get no quarterback. Yeah, we will. Yep. You won't get your generational prospect, and you're gonna have a player that doesn't want to play for you.
Yep.
What you gonna do, Cleveland? That's how you negotiate. All right.
You always
Exactly.
gotta have a plan B, a plan C, a plan D.
You know what I'm
You
saying?
don't go into a NFL draft and be like, we gonna get this player at all costs.
Mm-hmm. Definitely, man. But check it out, man. We about to open up the call line here. I want to get some of y'all opinions, unpopular or not, on this Jameis Winston thing. I want y'all to talk about Shedeur Sanders in the draft if you want to, or what you think the Giants should do. And also, if you just want to talk about the NFL in general, we're also welcome to that conversation as well. I don't want to poo-poo all the other teams, even though this is Giants conversation. We're all affected by everybody else and what everybody else is doing. So, and if you love Giants conversation, you definitely going to love New York Giants Full Access. So definitely tune into that during the week, man, hosted by yours truly, the man, Big Pat Sports Talk, man. So tune into that, and we're going to hit the commercial and be right back and open up call lines.
4, 3, 2, 1. Connect!
Thank you guys for tuning in, and look,
I'm feeling pretty good.
welcome to New York Giants Full Access.
All right. All right, man. Call-in lines are open. Please feel free to join the show, as we will be taking your calls, your comments, questions during this portion of the show. All topics on deck. Jameis Winston signing. Should the Giants still go after Aaron Rodgers? You got some people saying that. Should they take a quarterback at 3? Should they trade up? All things on deck. We give guys a few minutes to talk. They talk, and then we want to rotate people out. So that's the vibe. That is the setup. So appreciate y'all tapping in. You're going to join the show. Cut your camera on. Want to see who you are. Unless, we know you and you're a frequent caller, you're good. But got our first guest. Welcome to the stage.
Guys.
It's the Mets. What's good with you, man? Long time no hear, man. How you feeling?
What's Snarf for? What's going on, Snarf?
Not much. Mom just got back from West Palm. She bought me about a pound's worth of various Buc-ee's jerky.
Buc-ee's?
The gas station chain.
Oh, okay.
Oh, yeah. Right. I got you.
I ain't never heard of no Buc-ee's jerky. What's the jerky you getting?
But what's your thoughts about Jameis Winston, man, in this whole quarterback thing, Mets?
I don't have really that big of an issue with it. Again, he's basically a glorified backup in the grand scheme of things when you think about it. And it boils down on if either one, we get Rodgers, which I don't want because he's going to want an exorbitant amount of money that'll put us over the cap, which will lead to a significant cap hit. Or we draft a quarterback in the 3 spot next month. I would prefer going the latter option. And if we have to, have Jameis take, whether it's Shedeur or Cam, under his wing to show him a little bit of the ropes so he can at least get better acclimated to the setup. Whichever one we get.
So do you think they should still go after Aaron Rodgers even though they gave Jameis Winston a contract and they still have Tommy DeVito on the roster and are possibly going to be taking a quarterback at 3, maybe?
No, I do not want them to get Aaron Rodgers. I've been adamant about that. If they were to get a vet quarterback, go after Russ.
Yeah, I don't think you should get Russ or Aaron Rodgers at this point. They signed Jameis Winston. I think he is the bridge quarterback. I think that given the draft status that they have the 3rd overall pick, we just heard from Adam Schefter. I think their plan is to pair Jameis and Shedeur Sanders. How do you feel about that, though? The pairing of Jameis Winston and Shedeur Sanders as the Giants quarterbacks for 2025.
Wouldn't have too big of an issue with it. I mean, just bench Shedeur for a year, let Jameis cook for what little we can get out of him, and then switch positions next season. I mean, I'm not expecting this 25-26 core to win more than 4 games at best anyway. Low expectations. We're playing with house money this year. Essentially.
Yeah, to be honest, we are.
Basically, you know, and think about this, Mets. Brian Dable and them on the hot seat, you know, and you got Jameis Winston in there. So, you know, they're going to try everything they can to win a couple of games with Jameis Winston in there before they had to play Shedeur Sanders. You know, so do you honestly think Jameis Winston can save Brian Dable and Joe Shane's job?
Dable, no. Shane leans more towards a yes.
Okay. Explain why you think Shane but not Dable.
It's a similar concept problem I have with the Knicks, to use a basketball analogy, where both the GM and the coach are the same 2 sides of the same coin. That coin being greed. The coach is the hoarder, the GM is the waster. As the latter is usually oblivious to the former, not being willing to adapt to the current play style, and thus being too over-reliant on players he feels he can trust. It's bad enough with Rose and Thibodeau, but it's worse with Shane Dable, more so with Dable, because Dable tries to mold the players into something he's worked with before, but it backfires. Look at what happened with Daniel Jones, where he tried to mold him into a new Josh Allen, and it didn't work.
I'll say this, Snar.
Interesting comment. Yeah. Go ahead.
I'll say this, Snar. I got to go account for this one. You're a pretty smart dude, bro.
You've dealt with coaches who are that committed to their own tunnel vision. You got to speak up.
Yeah, you're a pretty smart dude. That was a great analogy right there. Thanks. That was dope. Because that is freaking true. And that's why Dable will get fired before Joe Shane. That's a fact. Because Joe Shane will have ties to Sanders. You got to have somebody with some ties to Sanders still there. And guess what? The fall guy is always going to be the head coach.
You can come on with your phone. If you have a cell phone, you can come on. If you just cut your camera on, let us see who you are. You can go back off camera. If you don't want to be on live stream camera, I understand. But we just have to see who you are backstage before we bring you on, because you have trolls and, you know, people come on here and do some weird stuff. Just gonna put it like that. But yeah, man.
Damn good analogy, bro.
Yeah, that was, man. And I think you are right. I think this is all on Brian Dable right now. And I think he's going to have to show what he can do with, you know, Jameis Winston. You know, I mean, I think that's what it's going to come down to. You know, he's going to have to show what he can do with Jameis Winston. They're going to have to show that they can develop Shedeur Sanders. I think at some point next year, he's going to have to play, you know, unless, like Pat said, they're just in playoff contention. You know, at some point, Sanders is going to have to play, and they're going to have to show something with him. They're going to have to show, hey, look, we can do something with this quarterback and we can develop a quarterback and you need to give us some more time. That's the only way they're going to say their job.
I'm going to say this.
Can't throw the door to the Wolves right out of the gate. That's the same mistake Pat Shurmur did with Jones.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm going to say this. If Shedeur Sanders is playing next year, I think Dabo is fired. I'm just going to be honest with you because he's going to have to come in. I think that's why they went and got Jameis. They wanted Aaron Rodgers because he still has his arm. I will give that Aaron Rodgers that he still has his arm. And I think they want to throw the ball down the field a whole lot this upcoming year. And I think Dabo's going to go all out. And since they couldn't get Aaron Rodgers, the next best thing with the big arm is Jameis Winston. That was the next best thing. You're not going to be able to get Cam Ward. I think Shane is going to draft Shedeur Sanders because that's his ticket to come back the next year. You see what I'm saying? Because if it doesn't all fall apart, he can say, hey, look, Shedeur Sanders went in there and we did some things when he was in there. And I'm going to say this. If it falls to crap with Jameis Winston, Dabo will probably be fired and Kafka an intern for the rest of the year. And they'll bring in Shedeur Sanders and let him play the rest of the year. And then Shane will be like, hey, look, I got you Shedeur Sanders. He actually showed that he's gonna be our guy. I got my guy. So let me go get my coach. You see what I'm saying? That's the play. I know that's what Shane is doing because he's a little slimy character. So I know that's what he's doing. And Dabo's thing is, I gotta bring in Jameis Winston. We gotta win some games early, especially before you get into division play. If they can win those outside of division games with Jameis Winston, I think he saves his job. And then you have a fake competition next year, and Jameis will be the backup to Shedeur Sanders.
And I'm gonna tell you what, man. Y'all hate if you want to, but it's all setting up for Deion Sanders to be the next coach of the New York Giants because, we talked to somebody that's tied in with Colorado that knows a lot about the team and a lot about that situation. And, yeah, Deion is only going to get an opportunity to coach in the NFL if he can coach his son. Whoever drafts Cleveland, New York, whoever drafts Shedeur Sanders, which, we're telling you it's going to be the Giants, whoever drafts Shedeur Sanders, that can be, and because both of those coaches, Stefanski, probably hot seat. Brian Dable, we know, is on the hot seat. If they flop out, his son is there, about to be the starting quarterback. You think he wouldn't want a chance to coach his son in the NFL? You think they haven't been talking to Brandon Brown and Joe Shane about that?
Nope. I think they have.
I think they have. I think they absolutely have had conversations about, hey, take your son, things don't work out with Brian. Would you be interested? I think so.
True.
And we're going to talk some more about that, man. But we got another guest, man. So we're going to have to let you go, Mets. Appreciate you. Man, we you our boy, man. Keep grinding on the network. Let me or Pat know if you need anything, bro. We don't get to hear from you a lot, man, but we see what you're doing. We always supporting, always sharing, and we're always there for you.
You definitely appreciate it, Mets. And like I said, that analogy was nice, bro. I gotta get credit where credit was due. That was dope.
Later.
All right, my Mets. Peace. All right. Bring up my man.
Yo. What's the word? What's the word? How you feeling, fellas?
Man, feeling pretty good, man. Pretty good.
So, good, yeah.
what we got today, TP? What's going on, brother?
Yeah, man.
Talking about Jameis, man. But how you feeling about Jameis Winston, man? Look, man, it's a lot of buzz going on. A lot of hate.
Yeah. One thing if you don't know, man, you should know by now. It's no matter what direction we go. We could have Tom Brady being the quarterback for us. It's always going to be some hate, man. I mean, that's just what it's going to be. Jameis Winston to me is the best outcome that you could really get out of this situation because I take it for what it is. I don't look at Jameis Winston as to be the guy that come in here and, be the Jaden Daniels for us, get us to the playoffs and just turn this thing around. I'm not looking at Jameis Winston in that light. I'm looking at Jameis Winston to be the QB2 / veteran and have that impact on a Shedeur Sanders that I hope that we draft. And so in that light, I absolutely love, adding Jameis Winston to the roster. In that light, I see the bigger picture. I tell people all the time, like, who is the biggest cheerleader / veteran that you could think of in this moment of time? Because when I was watching Jameis Winston over there with the Browns and Deshaun Watson, I went to the Cleveland Brown game and the Giants versus the Cleveland Brown game. They was booing Deshaun Watson. And the conversations that was in the seats was everybody's trying to move on from Deshaun Watson. So even in that time, you know what Jameis Winston was doing? He wasn't using that as an opportunity to slither his way in and say, hey, man, look, I'm still here. Like, I'm next up. He said, nah, I believe wholeheartedly in Deshaun Watson. He is that guy. He's a special talent. I look on the sidelines. Who is the number one person I see going wild on the sidelines every time something productive happens?
Mm-hmm.
You think that the New York Giants don't need that type of energy in their locker room?
Yeah, you're right, CP, because a lot of things about the New York Giants have been negative. And you seen on the sidelines last year.
Yeah.
When they would start to lose and get down, you see the whole vibe just come down. And everybody's just in that same mood. Nobody's trying to bring the team up. Nobody's vocal out there. Nobody's grabbing guys by the jersey. Like, come on, man. Smacking helmets. Nobody's doing nothing. Everybody just falls into that shit.
Just sit there and just accept it.
You know what I'm saying? And that's what we need. And this is one of the things me and Pat have been talking about. Leaders on this team. Leaders.
Yep.
Glue guys. Those guys that get it. They've been there. They done that. You need those examples. You need that energy. You need that, love Dexter Lawrence, Andrew Thomas, but those aren't those guys. Those aren't those guys. And from a quarterback standpoint, you can actually bring in a Jameis Winston, a guy that can say, hey, look, I might not have been the best quarterback, but I threw for 5,000 yards in this league before. I threw for 30 touchdowns in this league before. I've won games in this league before. Right. Been on playoff teams in this league before. So those are things that Jameis Winston can say that, a Drew Lock couldn't say last year, or somebody else that you might bring in with not as much experience in this league. Yeah. And on top of that, like you said, he's a guy that's going to get other guys hyped up. And that stuff is contagious. It's contagious. Exactly. Malik's getting hyped. Now Jalen Hyatt, you see him doing his little thing. Now all of a sudden Darius Slayton, he bopping on the sideline. Then here come little Minnie Mouse, he coming through, you know what I'm saying, getting hyped, holding his arms up. So you'll see that contagious happen on the field. And it's the reverse effect when they're losing.
Exactly.
And so that's why you need that leader that can keep it even, kill winning or losing. And Jameis Winston is that.
That's a fact. Bro. And that's such an underrated thing, man. That's such an underrated thing that people don't talk about. I hear you, Pat.
Yeah, I think another thing that he brings is he gives you a chance in every game. Believe it or not, he does. Like he can have a game where he goes off, where he's like, "What type of pass was that?" But it got in there. You know what I'm saying? He's that type of dude to know that, hey, look, when I'm on the field, I got a chance to get the ball at any time because this dude is crazy. You know what I'm saying? And that's a good feeling to go out there on the field and know that you can get the ball at any time. Unlike what the system they ran with Daniel Jones last year, it was going to be either Wandale Robinson or Davis. I'm out here getting cardio.
Yeah.
So,
right.
But
Yeah.
you got to keep your head on the swivel with Jameis Winston, because if not, it's going to be an interception because he threw the ball knowing that, hey, if I throw it right here at this angle, if you turn around and jump, you get it. But if you're not paying attention, it's going to go right over your head to the safety.
Right.
And that's where he gets a lot of his interceptions. Either you're not paying attention or he just put it in the spot. He thought you could make the play. You weren't able to make the play. You know what I'm saying? He'll clap his hands and go to the sidelines. Hey, that's on me. That's on me. Let's go back out there. Let's get it. And he'll come out there and throw a touchdown. Like, okay. It was fucking crazy. I like playing with him.
And I mean, at the end of the day, man, I really challenge people, man, to really understand that train of thought, because I remember in 2022, I believe, and when Sterling Shepard got hurt, the loudest person that I seen on the sideline was him. Sterling Shepard was on the sideline being the biggest cheerleader. And for anybody who has played any level of sports, particularly basketball and football, you know, when you have your teammates backing you, when you have your teammates reminding you that they are with you in these times, it's like a steroid pill. It just adds that much more oomph into what you're already doing out there on the field. The away games don't feel as big of an away games because you hear the voice of that guy on the sideline. So, like you said, NYG, people don't really, pay attention to that type of stuff as often. They may not think that's a big factor into it. But trust me, man, the aura is huge. Now, my only thing is we keep talking about quarterback play, but as a receiver guy, this is also a year where the receivers have to step up as well and show that they are ready for a quarterback that can give them 50-50 balls.
That's a fact.
You have to make those plays as well. I don't want to hear shit about it got to be the perfect ball placement every single time. Nah, those 50-50 balls, you gotta be a receiver to make it happen as well. I need good receiver play. So everybody keeps talking about quarterback. But yeah, let's get the receivers in line. Let's make sure that the timing is on point. Let's make sure spacing is on point. Let's make sure when it's you in that corner that you come down with it. So
that's another reason why I love Jameis Winston. You're gonna get exposed as a receiver if you're not going out there to make plays. I'm telling you, he's gonna put the ball in the area where, hey, look, you should have made that play. Even though that's a tough play, you should have made that play. So people like Jalen Hyatt can get exposed.
Yeah.
Even more than he's been exposed. People like Wan'Dale Robinson can get exposed. Hey, man, he's just too small. I threw it to where only he can get it, but he couldn't get it because he's too small. Well, let me go ahead and go in the draft and get me a couple of receivers.
And I want to talk about that, Pat. I want to talk about that because I want them to go out and get a receiver to put pressure on Jalen Hyatt, and not just him, but Wan'Dale Robinson as well, because I don't think those guys should be locks to be in this receiver rotation. I think it should be Malik Neighbors and Darius Slayton. Those two guys have proven to be good to elite. In Malik's case, an elite receiver in this league on his way. Darius Slayton is a very good number 2. Don't give a damn what y'all say. How damn much y'all hate the dude. He averages 750 yards in his sleep. Get him a quarterback. Let's see what he can do.
And then you got Jameis that can throw that ball as far as he needs to get it to Darius to watch.
I'm telling you, dude's going to probably go for over 1,000. You're probably going to have Malik for over 1,000. And we just need one of them two dudes, Hyatt or Minnie Mouse, to step up. One of them two dudes. So,
I will say this. I do. My bad, NYG.
You could.
I do believe that they are. I think they're settled at the receiver position. I really do believe they are. Unless they go receiver in like the second round, I do believe they settled at the receiver position because of all the veterans that they signed.
Eric Johnson, Luther Burden. We just did We just did a draft journal on him.
On Luther Burden. That's a fact. Check that out, Eric Johnson.
Yep. Check it out right here on the network.
I don't believe, unless they go for a higher receiver, like let's say if somebody like a Luther Burden drops to the second round, I don't think they go receiver, because if you get a receiver that's young, you're going to have to replace somebody like a Wan'Dale Robinson. And I don't know whose pick that really was. Was that Dabo's pick or was that Joe Shane's pick? You know what I'm saying? And it's like they hold on to these picks that they know that are not good. Like, who was the Jalen Hyatt pick? Was that Dabo or was that Joe Shane? Be like, hey, look, I think this guy could be.
That's Dabo.
And you know what I'm saying? And I think Wan'Dale Robinson might be Dabo because he think he could do the same thing as that other little guy that just got his contract over there with the Bills. And it's just not working out, man. So me personally, I want them to go get a taller, bigger receiver that can run routes. That's why I was, pushing to see if we could get T. Higgins, but he signed back with the Bengals, which is crazy. They signed both of them to huge contracts. But I don't know, TP. I think they're set at the receiver position. I don't think they're going to go receiver in the draft at all.
Speaking of like a bigger size receiver, do you think that Lil John Humphrey is going to see some action?
I think he's going to see some action in the red zone, because you have to bring him in there in the red zone, because Wan'Dale Robinson is ineffective. He just is. In the system that you're running now, if they put a brand new system where he gets space, maybe it could be effective. But it's one of those situations where he's just too small at the receiver position. And he's not a big dog like how Steve Smith Sr. was. You see what I'm saying? He ain't soft. The little dude, he got some dog in him. I don't know, man. It's just certain people.
He's good for what he's good for. But I agree 100% with you. I just don't think he is good for that many targets. I don't think he's made for that. But yes, can he, slice up the field and, give you these short, quick routes and, if in open space, make something happen? For sure. But that shouldn't be the catalyst of your offense. That shouldn't be the primary receiver at all. So I understand that. My big concern with this receiving core to me is that question mark besides Jalen Hyatt. That's concerning to me, man, because I sat there, man, and I was patient. And I was like, man, there is no way that we're going to go through this whole span of a season and not get Jalen Hyatt involved. Because his rookie year, it seemed like there was going to be an upside. Like, at the time when we drafted him, I was like, oh, man, we got him in a great, position. Like, to get him that late in the round, I'm like, oh.
Yeah, we was all hype, man. We was at the draft, man. We was like, yo, we got Hyatt.
Come on.
Yo, we was all hype, man. Exactly. And then, I think they thought Hyatt could be what Slayton is. I think that's what they really thought. And Darius Slayton just won't go away, and he's just out. He's just a better receiver. Just keep it a buck. He's just a better receiver than Jalen Hyatt right now.
Keep it a buck with you about Jalen Hyatt. I said this before he came out when I was doing my draft evaluations of receivers last year. I said, man, I did not see this dude run any routes at Tennessee. I didn't see him run any routes, and that's what coaches were saying to Jalen Hyatt.
Yeah.
Before he was coming out, he said, man, we know what you are. You're just a deep route runner. So I can run routes where you haven't shown that you can run the routes yet. I don't know if he's being held back, but when I see him on the field, I see lazy routes. I see not going full throttle. You're the type of player that has to go 100% every single time, because you have no other skill set besides your deep catches right now. You're not a threat to go 50-50 to get the ball. And you're not a route demon, so you got to use your speed. Like Deshaun Jackson, he was like that, but he had a little bit of sauce in his routes. But Deshaun Jackson was 110% every time he was on the field. That's why he got what he got. You got to be that type of player, but I don't. And his frame is too small. This is a physical division, man. He needs to be somewhere like the AFC West or the AFC South. I think he'll be very good out there. Or maybe even the Dolphins.
Tell me this, y'all. When you press the Giants receivers, who are you afraid of? Beating. That's it. That's a problem.
Yeah.
That's a problem. So you know what I'm doing? I'm putting hands on your guys. Pause. I'm putting hands on these receivers, man. And look, we going to play Malik over the top. I got you, bro. Let them other dudes do what they do. Y'all got him. Y'all got him. This dude, yeah. Where you going? You know what I'm saying? So that's what you gotta have somebody with some physicality. That's all we talking about. This is football. We not playing basketball. I love basketball. This ain't basketball though. Can't put hands on dudes in basketball. Football got some strength. And these dudes are they weak, man. But I'm gonna let you get one more comment in. We got Cave in the background. Want to get my man Cave in here.
Shout out to Cave.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna leave it at this as well. I want to see an all offense that adds more value to these tight ends, man. Like there was no reason, because I watched Bellinger and I watched Theo Johnson. Theo Johnson kind of came on a little late in the season. You know, both of them really, you know, kind of it was a slow start pretty much for both of them. But I believe in these dudes, man. I think they have the talent to do a lot more than what they're doing. So I would like to utilize these dudes more and get them involved as well. Now, I'm not saying that, you know, these guys are an Njoku or anything like that, but they have solid hands. They have a nice size to them, and there's no reason why we can't utilize them in this offense, man. We need to utilize all of these weapons that I see that we could make something out of something with. We need to start using, man. So
if we're gonna keep the receivers in status quo, TP, before you get out of here, we need to use more motion. You see what I'm saying? We gotta use motion with these type of receivers. If you're trying to include Hyatt and Wan'Dale Robinson, even Slayton to a certain extent, because if you're a real physical corner, Slayton's not going to do anything to you either. You know, but I think we need to use more motion if we're going to use those guys, man. I'm just going to be honest with you.
But you want to know another thing too, though, with using motion is. And it's funny because when you think about the other teams in the NFL, like this is just so not a problem, right? But this is also something that has to be coached, because I've seen a few times where just something as simple as something that seems as simple as motioning, where you have players' feet not set, and it just seems like everyone is kind of like discombobulated, and you get these penalties.
That's true.
So
I've gotten a lot of penalties. What's that penalty they was calling the shit out of last year? Wasn't getting set. Illegal shit.
Illegal shit is on.
Yeah.
But listen, if you got guys that are that undisciplined, it's time to redraft. If you are that undisciplined, look, this is the issue with this franchise. You got to admit your mistakes. If Jalen Hyatt was a mistake, if Wan'Dale Robinson was a mistake, admit the mistake, go get somebody that can come in and do something. Me personally, go get Jalen Noel from Iowa State or Restrepo from Miami in the second round. We made a mistake with Wan'Dale Robinson. We'll trade him to you for a 5th round pick. Okay, you made the mistake. What are they going to say? Oh, you see, you drafted Wan'Dale Robinson in the 2nd round. You're stupid. Okay, I'm stupid, but I got somebody to come in and replace him. So let's see how stupid I am after you see this replacement.
You know what I'm saying?
Like, you ain't never made a mistake in your life. I got it.
If you trade, I'm gonna tell you what you could do. I'm glad you said that. But we got to get Cave in here, TP, man. I appreciate you, bro.
Yes, sir.
Hey, if you're not busy later, man, try to make some more content.
Let's do it. Let's do it. All right,
man.
fellas. Peace.
All right. Cave, what's good, bro? Welcome to the Giants Convo, man. Yeah, got my man Cave in the building, man. But to be honest with you, just to go off what TP said a minute ago, if you, and what you said, Pat, if you take and you trade Wan'Dale Robinson for a 5th round pick, and you take that 5th round pick and go get Cal Monunga, running back, and then with your 3rd, remember you got 2/3, you could take Wan'Dale Robinson's replacement and probably have that person come in and start right away for you.
Mm-hmm.
Because a lot of these slot guys, they're ready to go. We watched a lot of them at the Senior Bowl. You know, they are ready to go, man. So, but Cave, man, we got a new quarterback. Giants been signing some players. A lot of rumors going on out there. So, of course, man, what's on your mind, man?
Yeah, man. I've been listening to y'all, man. I disagree with you and Pat on Wan'Dale and Jalen Hyatt, man. As far as that with Wan'Dale, like I said, ain't nothing wrong with Wan'Dale and stuff like that. Like I said, the problem has been the Giants. Nobody respects the Giants' vertical passing game, bro. If teams playing back bracket coverage, they don't respect you. You're not going to get a lot of yards and stuff like that. Yeah, and Malik Neighbors might get some yards passing behind the receiver, but if they're playing 10, 11 guys up on the box, that's Wan'Dale's area right there. He's not going to get much yards after that. You know, Jalen Hyatt, I mean, teams don't really even – they do press man coverage. They don't play 100% in the whole game. They play some here and there, but not all the time. So it's not even about getting off the line. I think it's just the Giants as a whole. They're just a dysfunctional offense, and it's always been. And people have to look at it that way. Now, them 2 guys was playing on a team that has a passing game like, you know, Matthew Stafford, Josh Allen. Yeah, I could say that. Because, you know what I'm saying? Then you can say that because, like, oh, they're not doing nothing. But on this team, we never function right. So you can't, like I said, you can't evaluate these players until you get a real offense that really cooks. That's the whole thing. And that's why when these guys leave this team and go to other teams, they do better. And we saying, wow, what is that? Yeah, because those other teams are doing better. They know what they're doing. We haven't done anything right. And we've been poor. I mean, we even say, let's say our team sucks. If our team sucks, then how we can say, our team has the best functioning offense or something for these players to be evaluated? They can't. So until that happens, I mean, you know, offensive line has been terrible. You know what I'm saying? And, you know, so I can't really evaluate them guys like that.
Let me ask you this. With the evaluation process with Brian Dable, we know the last 2 years he's been calling plays. Do you think you can get a better evaluation of the Giants receivers if Mike Kafka was to take back over play calling?
I think in a way, yeah, because if you really look at it, Jalen Hyatt did better when Tyrod Taylor was a quarterback, a vertical passing game. He did better in that short little sample than he did in this whole 2 or 3 years he's been here. And Tyrod Taylor threw the ball downfield. The other quarterbacks like Daniel Jones and DeVito and Drew Lock, nobody was afraid of those dudes of vertical passing games. You know what I'm saying? They didn't respect that. And not to say they respected Tyrod Taylor, but like I said, Tyrod was airing the ball out. You know what I'm saying? Like Jameis would, like, most likely would air the ball out. He's not scared to air the ball out. So that's another thing. So teams would take that into effect. And he does have an arm. You know, and Jameis is looking downfield to make plays. You know what I'm saying? And now, like I said, now they start making some of those plays and start operating more. Then defenses will loosen up and start playing more further back. But if you look at a lot of defense that we played the last 2-3 years, they were playing close to the line. There was nobody like 20, 30 yards back. That's how because they disrespected the Giants offense. And so if you got 11 guys up on the field.
So now this is a good conversation. Giants conversation. Y'all hit that like button. Now, let me ask you this. So now it's starting to make me feel like, again, that this whole offense is being held back because of quarterback play. Because everything you're saying, that's what I'm gathering. Because if the offense looked different with Tyrod Taylor, that's one thing. They went in the Colts game and they opened it up with Drew Lock, a strong quarterback that can throw the football down the field. Not saying Daniel Jones wasn't, but again, gun shy. That was his problem. And then you had Tommy Cutlets, and we all know his arm ain't strong. He's not launching it down the field. So again, it kind of makes me think now that is all this or just one big hoax or whatever, or you know, they just hiding this whole offense because they wasn't they wasn't sold on the quarterback play. Because if they got Jalen Hyatt and Slayton and Wan'Dale and all these guys and they're not reaching their potential because nobody's respecting the Giants passing deep down the field, which you're correct about. But they've shown they could do it with a different quarterback.
Mm-hmm.
So what you think? Is Brian Dable? This is the question. Was Brian Dable holding the Giants offense back intentionally because he didn't have his quarterback?
I don't think he was holding back attention. I just think the dude is just like that. Like I said, I don't respect nobody that has a game plan week to week that changes. You shouldn't have it. You should know what you're going to be running. You should know how you are. Now, if your offensive line is poor and you really don't have time to throw the ball downfield, so you got to have a short, what you call it, then that's a different story. But that's what I say. So you will never really get to really evaluate until you have a better offensive line, and then you have a quarterback who can not scared to throw the ball downfield. You know what I'm saying? So that's why I want to see this year how it's going to be with Jameis Winston and a little bit of improved offensive line compared to like how it was 3 years ago. Then I could probably kind of evaluate Brian Dable, but for the most part, I don't think he really could call plays like that. So but it's going back to Kafka. So I want to see it. I'll be more comfortable with Kafka calling the plays and see how his offense open up and things like that. You know what I'm saying? I have more confidence in Kafka than I have in Brian Dable calling plays.
That's
like I said, I never respected Brian Dable's play calling.
Hey, I'll be right back. I take this call. I'll be right back.
And I think what you're saying though too is real too, because Kafka was able to tailor his playbook to fit Daniel Jones' strengths. Brian Dable was trying to make Daniel Jones play his playbook. You see the difference? One coach is forcing a system on a player when the other coach is creating a system for the player. That's the difference.
Right.
So now you got Brian Dable. That's why you're chasing all these strong arm quarterbacks like Aaron Rodgers, Jameis Winston. That's what they want to do. That's what they want to do.
And
so,
if you look at it, like Daniel Jones, like his most successful years under Pat Shermer, who drafted him. And what Pat Shermer did was he went to Duke. He went down to Duke to talk to Cutcliffe to see what plays, what was his strength, what was Jones' strength, and that's the plays that he used that year. And that's why Jones is like looking like, you know what I'm saying? You got to play to the quarterback strength. And yeah, I know the neck injury has played a big part in Daniel Jones' career. That even though the Giants won't talk about, but I'm pretty sure that neck injury was the couple of neck injuries was severe. Because your shoulder is connected to your neck, so you know what I'm saying? And that has an effect on your throwing and stuff like that. Because Daniel Jones was more throwing in his rookie year down the field than he was after the neck injuries and later on. So that kind of cut it down a little bit short too. So but yeah, like I said, hey, we'll see this year, man. Like I said, with a new system and things with a new quarterback and Kafka calling the plays again, and now you getting like better offensive line plays, and you know what I'm saying. So I want to see. That's what I'm saying. I want to see if. And I would just hope we're going to average more than 15 points a game. That's all I'm saying. More than 15 points a game. If we get up in the 20s and something, I'm happy. 20 something, I'm happy. But I have to see it on a consistent basis. I have to see the competitiveness in the game. And that's one of the things I didn't see in every game, that they were very competitive trying to win games. That's what that pissed me off a lot in a lot of games. You can look at the games and be like, man, they don't even look like they ain't going to do nothing. Once they get down by a touchdown or 10 points, they done. They folded. You know what I'm saying? So we'll see, man. But like I said, man, I'm happy with Jameis Winston there as the quarterback now. Like I said, he's a cheaper option of what we was going to sign if we signed Rodgers. You know what I'm saying? You get to save money. And like I said, you're going to have a losing season anyway because we have one of the toughest schedules in football this year. So what's the point of overpaying for somebody that you're going to have a bad season? And then they can say, they want to say like, they trying to save their jobs. They're going to win games. They could try to save their jobs all they want. You know what I'm saying? At the end of the day, you're going to still lose anyway because you still got too many holes to fill and stuff like that. You know what I'm saying? So, hey, either way you look at it, I was like, I think after the season, I know the quarterback might save them, but I think they both going to be gone. Because one thing I don't like about Joe Schoen, I don't like his spending habits in free agency. He's a penny pincher. And everybody talks about next year we're going to have 100-something million. It doesn't matter. We got 100-something million. If he ain't going after the top players, it don't matter. If you keep trying to get bargain basement dudes and all stuff, it's not going to work. That's why you keep falling behind everybody else. You keep getting low budget talent and you think you're going to get better results and you're not getting better results. You know what I'm saying? You get a Dre Greenlaw and then another team gets a Dre Greenlaw and you go out and sign some like Philip Rawls. Who is Philip Rawls? You know what I'm saying? You got to sign these dogs and beasts.
I don't think some of these guys want to come here. That's one.
No, and that's another thing too. I get that. You know what I'm saying? But at the end of the day, it depends on the culture too, and it depends on, and they see how your organization is being run. if they hear the stories, because they talk to everybody else. You know what I'm saying? Because the way the Giants has looked around the league, man, is just like, come on, look at what he did with Wink Martindale. Look how he did with this person. Look how he did. Like, I don't want to be there. And then you got to look at the players that left, like Saquon and them. They taking a high road, but behind the scenes, you know, they talking to other players behind the scenes, like, you know, like Aziz, Adoree, all these guys, everybody else. They know the real that's in the building. And that's why they don't even care about leaving when they go on. You know what I'm saying? People like, man, because you heard with Aziz, they offered him a contract. He rejected it. He didn't want to come back to the Giants. So they try to retain him. You know what I'm saying? But he didn't want to come back because he knows what's going on inside, and you know, in them walls. You know what I'm saying?
But do you fix that by firing everybody again? Or hold on. Or is it because Mets made a good point earlier? If you draft Shedeur Sanders at 3 and say you have a 7-10 season or something like that, you're probably going to fire Brian Dable. Joe Shane drafted the quarterback. You got to keep this in mind now. Every time you switch regimes and you bring a new regime in, and you have a quarterback or some people there that's been established already, they're not tied to that quarterback. So you got to understand now you're talking about a whole roster flip. Because you got a new GM who has a different philosophy, and you're going to have a new coach with a different philosophy. So you're going to change the whole roster.
Yeah.
So is that what we want? Or do we want to see some dogs, some actual players coming here? Because I think you can have a culture shift 2 ways. I think you have leadership in the locker room from a player standpoint where guys are playing for each other, regardless if the coach stinks or not. Or you have a coach that runs a tight ship like Tomlin that's going to infuse the culture on the players and draft players that fits that culture. I don't think Brian Dable and them have that set. I think it's going to have to come from the players. So if you bring a Shedeur, Jameis Winston, Malik Neighbors, maybe you get a couple dogs in the draft. Let's see if they can set and change the culture on the field. Then we could talk about the mess that is off the field, if you see what I'm saying. Because they're changing the culture requires you to win games. If they get this offense fixed and they can go out there and actually compete and win a couple games and get people and players on their side and actually going out there and playing for them, because you only need to get up 2 touchdowns and then you see the Giants quit out there on the field. And we was just talking about this earlier with guys like Jameis Winston, guys that keep that energy regardless if you're down by 20 or not, because you would see that across the whole sideline. Nobody's up. Nobody's pulling players by their jerseys. Nobody's getting the team hyped up like, yo, let's go, man. Come on, man. We got this. We only down 2 touchdowns. What y'all doing? You see what I'm saying? We don't have that type of leadership. So I just want it to come from somewhere. It ain't coming from that coach. You're right. He definitely needs to go. You know what I'm saying? But if you got a GM that drafts a quarterback, I don't think you need to fire him the next season. I'm sorry. That's what the Jets do. That's what teams.
Right. That's what the Jets do. But yeah, sometimes, like I said, even if he drafts a quarterback, it's about how the GM operates as well too. Like in free agency,
they bought them back, bro. If they did it this year, I'm with you. I'm 100% with you. But now you're in a position to draft a quarterback. That's why the whole bringing them back never made sense in the first place. We talked about.
I know. Yo, we talked about that. I said that too. But at the end of the day, I don't care. I don't care. Even if you fire the coach and the GM is like, at the end of the day, if they're losing anyway. I can't see. If you can't figure your head from your tail from season to season. I don't see it. But now I can see this year if you can see some growth and you can see they starting to put it together. But because at the end of the day, you got to value the trenches, and I still don't even think they value the trenches. Like, I mean, they say they're doing this stuff like this. Is like, but you're trying to get like spare parts. You know what I'm saying? And then, like I said, when you do have a high draft pick, you're not picking good offensive linemen. Like I said, now with Carmen Brasola, hopefully that could change. Yeah, that could change. You know what I'm saying? But like I said, and you're right. I mean, if you don't fire you can fire the coach and not the GM. And like, let's say you fire the coach and you hire like a John Harbaugh. You know what I'm saying? That came from Michigan. Now he's a tough-nosed coach that's going to come in there with it, and he knows he's in the trenches. He has a strong run game. You know, a coach that has an NFC East philosophy, and I think that's part of the problem. They don't have an NFC East philosophy. They have an NFL philosophy, and that's not going to work in this market. You know what I'm saying? I think that's what the problem is. Right.
Philosophy. You know, all those AFC teams, they usually build from the outside in. They get receivers. They get all the spare parts, and they try to pass the ball. And not necessarily the strongest offensive lines in the leagues, but they got these quarterbacks that do these great things, and I think that's what. But in the NFC East, you don't have the great quarterbacks that do the great things. You just have strong teams in the trenches that is able to run the football. And now you got RPO and read option incorporated, and that's what these quarterbacks do very well now. So it's all part of the running game, though, and it's all part of the up front and in the trenches. So you're exactly right. They're not building the right proper team for the NFC East, but you can't point to one or the other. It's like the Spider-Man meme. It's like, whose fault is it? Dable, Shane, Dable,
All right, and then I hear a lot of people saying it's like, yo, but these guys are going into their fourth year, and we back in the same position we was in when they came in the first year. That's the whole problem. At 4 years in, you should be ahead of the curve by now. So it's almost like you're going back in reverse again, bro. That's the problem. I can see there's only here. This is their second year, and you're like, oh, I don't know what's up. But they're going into their fourth year. So they're going into their fourth year, and they still losing and still doing the same thing. What is going to correct it in the fifth year and the sixth year? And the seventh, at some point, you're just going to throw in the towels. Be like, you know what? Come on, man. You've been wasting my time. Like I said, now let's say you say Joe Shane. Let's say if Howie Roseman became available, like the Eagles are GM. I'd rather that GM, somebody who knows what to do and how to put a team together and how to finagle in the draft and do some things. I want somebody like that. This dude hasn't shown that he knows what he's doing. You know what I'm saying? It's pissing me off. Like I said, man, it's like he's like falling asleep behind the wheels, like free agency, like not getting things set up already. Come on, man. You're a losing team. You're supposed to be ahead of the curve on that aspect. You got all the damn time. These winning teams are in the playoffs, and they still for playing games. You're ahead of the curve, and you sitting there, and then you go into free agency, and these guys is already beating you to the punch, to the party. You know what I'm saying? You still late for the party. You know what I'm saying? But like I said, even if he stays this year, but like I said, next year we'll see. When we have the money in cap space and free agency, we'll see how he use it. And if he doesn't do it again, there you go. Like I said, that's all I need to know. I'll give him this year.
What you need, though, bro, it's not about the money and about the free agents and about the GM. It's about the vibe of this team. I keep trying to
too. That's what I know. That's what I'm saying.
But it don't come from the GM. The GM don't set the vibe. The vibe set by the players on the field, and then the coaching and the team and how they play and how they win and what they do. That's why I'm saying, man, like Joe Shane can bring in whoever they wanted to bring in. If they not putting it together on the field, he's gonna get fired. Brian Dable's gonna get fired. None of this matters. The reason the way to change things is on the field. You can point the finger, and I'm not defending Joe Shane. I told y'all last year he needed to go, but they needed to fire them together and bring in a new team together before they take their quarterback. To take the quarterback and then fire him is working in reverse, bro. Now you might have to fire the coach, but they're not going to fire both. I'm just going to tell you that. And the more I think about it, it do make sense, because Joe Shane is going to say, wait a minute. Let me get my quarterback, but you gonna fire me? We ain't even get to play him yet. We ain't even get to put a team around him yet. That's what he gonna say. But Brian Dable, he don't have no out, because guess what? Now you got the quarterback. You got to show on the field. So if it looks bad on the field, he's gonna get fired regardless.
Okay, but even in that same token, like you just said, right? Look how many times the Giants have people in the building. Like Steve Spagnuolo, other players, other coaches, they let him go.
This the only
thing, and they had him right on the team, That's what I was just about to say. And that's what I was about to say. But this was about.
You're gonna fire Joe Shane and Brian Dable, and then bring in somebody else.
That's what I was going to
we don't want to deal with Shedeur Sanders and them, and they want to take Nussmeier.
But what I was going to say, but what I was going to say is, like, they got Brandon Brown in the building right now. What's happening? They keep Shane next year, and then Brandon Brown leaves and goes somewhere else. And then Brandon Brown's having success, and then Shane gets fired. What people gonna say? We had a guy in the building, and you didn't even give him the chance. You let him go out the building. We keep letting that happen. This is not a first. This keeps happening. time after time after again, man. It's just like it's crazy. At some point, like I said, the owner takes responsibility too, because like I said, and I you know, I always say, he's the dumbest. Well, I ain't gonna say, but it is what it is. Like I said, he is, man. It's just like, yeah, that's what I'm saying, man. But like I said, it's just like I said, at some point we got to just stop the dysfunction. That's the whole thing. You got to stop the dysfunction at some point. You know, the circus got to stop at some point. We'll see this year, like I said. We'll go into this year and see how it goes.
The circus is in firing people. You know what I'm saying? And so what I want the Giants to do is not keep, like, if you're gonna, like, you gotta have the right time and to do things. The Giants are always off with the timing of everything. That's what I'm saying. The timing to fire them was this year.
Right.
It's not going to be next year. That's why I said if they were to, what Mara should have did was extend them for 2 years, because you can't let them draft. I'm telling you, bro. You talk about Daniel Jones.
That's what I'm saying.
You cannot let these guys draft a quarterback and they're bringing a whole new regime the very next year. His first opportunity. Now you have to relearn a whole new system, and they're gonna redo the defense, redo the like, bro. That's where you fail with rookie quarterbacks. You have to keep some continuity. You have to keep some continuity. You can't flip the whole entire team. You know, you can't do that, bro. And as much as trust me, I'm with you. I don't want them here, but we are in a corner now. We over here in the corner.
Well, listen,
so, you know what I'm saying? We got to fight our way out.
Right. Yeah. You can fight your way out, but let me say something. Let me say this. What if you go 3-14 this year? You go 3-14 next year, and 3-14 next year. At what point are you gonna? That's what I'm saying. So we have to see how the results play out on the field. If the results keep playing, if they keep playing out bad, you can't keep them here just to keep saying that you don't want to. Bro, at the end of the day, they're not winning. It doesn't matter. You keep wasting your time and keep wasting your time. The only thing that's gonna end up is gonna make the problem worse and worse. If the roster keeps getting worse and worse, it's like, how many years these guys have 5-6 years to build a roster, and they still haven't built a roster, and they keep saying.
So what if they win? What if they win 7 or 8 games?
Yeah. That's what I'm saying. If you see some that's different. If you see some growth, that's different. But if you don't see no growth, and then you keep hearing year after year, this is the worst roster in football. This is the worst roster in football. How is that possible? The NFL gives you 2 ways to upgrade your roster, through the draft and free agency. So you keep making poor decisions. It's like if you can improve your roster in those 2 ways, you don't need to be in football, bro. You don't.
Let me ask you this. How is this the worst roster in football? Because people also turn around. I pay attention to everything. People also turn around and tell us that the Giants are quarterback away. When this whole Aaron Rodgers situation was going on, well, if they get Aaron Rodgers, they can compete and they can do this, and yeah, they can run Brian Dable's offense and yada yada yada. But the roster's so terrible. It is awful.
Yeah, but the people that say that, like the people that say that the Giants are quarterback is not the people who raise the Giants, like, you know, PFF and what's the other one, Vegas or something like that tells the wins every year and stuff like that. And they say even in the Madden rating, we got the lowest ratings. They know it. Well, other people are delusional that be saying like, oh, they're only quarterback away, this and that. They're delusional. They know that. You can see it. We got so many holes. Because when we get injury to one person, it affects a lot of parts. That shows you no depth.
But here's the thing, though. You just told me earlier that that Jalen Hyatt and Wan'Dale Robinson aren't bad players. They're just not being used correctly. So if they're not bad players, then the roster ain't bad, is it?
No. What I'm saying is, it's not so much the roster is bad. It's like they got some talent. They don't have too much talent.
Exactly. We don't have the worst roster in the NFL. It's bullshit. It's cap.
So who has the worst roster? That's what. So I mean, we don't have the best. At a third. No, but what I'm saying, out of 30-some teams, we had like 30 or something like that. We're not like.
We ain't picking first, are we? No,
we picking third.
Then we don't have the worst roster. It ain't the worst.
It's not the worst, but it's still we still picking third. We're still at the top of the draft, so it's like it would be different. But it ain't the worst. It's different if we was picking like 19 or 20, then that's different. But if we constantly pick like around 3,
do they say these things about Cleveland, who's picking before us? Do they say these things about Tennessee, who's picking before us? Do they say these things about New England, who's picking before us? picking right after us, had the same amount of wins, who we actually beat.
New England, yeah, they said that New England.
So how is it that the Giants have the worst roster in the NFL when all these other teams are right there with you, picking in the same spots you picking at? You know what I'm saying? And you can't tell me the Giants have the worst roster on defense. That's 100% cap. Now on offense, if you want to compare offense just because the Giants don't have a quarterback right now, that's fair. But they do have a number one receiver. The Patriots don't. So I'm not buying that worst roster shit. What I am buying is the fact that this team needs to show something on the field. And that in itself would change the way people view the Giants. If they go out there and they start winning games, that changes the way the people view the team. And then people won't be saying that the roster's so bad and this, that, and the third, and the GM he got his head up his ass.
I'm gonna say this. Sorry, I had to take that call, man. That was my dog.
Nah, you good, man. We having a good convo. You know how me and Cave do.
Yeah. Dog get on my nerves. But I had to go out there and see her. She gave me some good news. That's what's up.
Hell yeah.
Yo, you know what the Giants are worst at though? I'm glad Jay Ferry said this. He said it's not we don't have a bad roster, it's just top heavy. We don't have depth in the QB, which is what makes it bad. And it's not only we don't have depth in the QB, is we don't have a philosophy. We don't have a culture here with the Giants. A team, I don't care how talented that team is. If you have no culture or philosophy, you're gonna get your ass whooped. And the Eagles found that out. And once they found out their philosophy, they won Super Bowls. Y'all don't remember the Dream Team when they had Roger Camardi, Nasamwa, Vince Young, all those receivers? There was no philosophy on that team. And then they got Chip Kelly. It got even worse when they had Deshaun Jackson and Macklin and all those guys. It got even worse. When you have no philosophy and when you have no culture in the building, because everybody's on different accord. Let's just say Shane and Daboll is on one accord. They're not on accord with John Mara because John Mara wanted to keep Saquon Barkley. They didn't. John Mara wanted to keep Daniel Jones and see what he can work with him. They didn't. You see what I'm saying? And then you draft all these players to run a certain philosophy, knowing that the quarterback that you have is not going to be able to run that. But guess what? You did that because now we can expose them and we can get rid of them. That's what you're seeing. So people like Jalen Hyatt, they get alienated in their brains. They're not smart enough to think that if we do this and these guys start feeling alienated, they're not going to be motivated to play. And then guess what? The owner sees that and still makes you go out there and win a home game against the Colts. And now you're in the number 3 position, worried about getting your quarterback. Well, you could have the number 1 pick. And if you love Shedeur Sanders or Cam Ward, you can pick and choose between them. It's a bunch of idiocy in the building. It's coming from the top. I'll say it's not all on the players. I promise you it's not.
All right, so let me ask you a question though. Just like you said that, now you look at our team. If Dexter Lawrence is out for the season on defense, how do we play? If let's say Dexter Lawrence and Andrew Thomas are both out, 2 players is out for the season. How you gonna feel about the season then? That's just 2 players. If your team has depth, right?
Yeah, that's why you have depth players. You got somebody like Ledbetter now that could come in. Is he Dexter Lawrence? Hell no. But he can hold the ship. I think we at least be able to stop the run. Now, will we be able to get the pass rush from the defensive tackle position like we were? No, but you got Chauncey Golston and Anderson.
They was playing tough last year when they were playing down.
Right.
It was the offense that wasn't fucking doing anything. The defense was still playing tough.
You had people like Garcia getting in there, and they stopped the run pretty well towards the end of the season with some no-names. I was out there playing last year.
No, I mean, I know our team has always been offense has been a problem for both. You know what I'm saying? It's been offense.
It's the offensive side of the ball. You want to know why? Because we signed a coach that's supposed to be the offensive guru. You see what I'm saying? So that's the side of the ball that's failing because he's failing. And then it's no accountability in the building from the head to the toe. There's no accountability. Every time your offense looks shitty. Guess what he does? He goes blames the defensive coordinator. Mayor, you're
Right.
blaming the defensive coordinator. Mayor even blamed the defensive coordinator. I'm tired of seeing people going up and down the field on the defense. What about your offense? That's averaging 14 points a game.
If
There's
that.
no accountability, bro.
I know. Listen, I already know. Like I said, the offense is clearly the problem. That's because the defense stays on the field way too long, man. I already know.
Bro,
Like, what
that's
owner
crazy.
comes out and says, I'm tired of people going up and down the field on my defense when my offense is only averaging 15.6 points
Well,
a game?
if your defense is
What
on field for
owner
43
says that?
minutes, your defense on field for 40 minutes of 60-minute game.
What about the game with the Bengals when they held Joe Burrow and them damn near scoreless for 3 quarters?
I know.
And lost the game. What
Even
about
the
the
year
Commanders
before.
that beat you with 7 field goals?
Right.
What about the Dallas Cowboys game, that first game where you had players dropping the ball all over the field when the defense put you in position to win the game?
Mm-hmm.
What
I
about
know.
that Saints game where the defense held it down? They couldn't score 17 points to win that game.
Hey, but just like we said, the owner is pacifying the coach who's like, this coach has caused so much problems on this team, and I don't even know why he can't see it. He's alienating players and staff.
Look how stupid this sounds. Oh, the head coach of the GM, I want to see better from my head coach of GM. My head coach is a offensive guru, but they only score 15.6 points per game. But I'm going to say I'm tired of the defense getting scored on.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe your defense is literally tired. You see what I'm saying? They're
Could
literally
be.
tired.
I don't know.
Gas.
Possibly.
Yeah, the defense was
Okay.
leading in sacks in the beginning of the season. We were losing games because we couldn't score points. They were leading the league in sacks for the first 8 weeks. Dexter Lawrence had 10 sacks in 8 weeks.
Yeah.
That's why with them defensive additions, if this offense does anything, I think we got a shot. I'm not saying we will make the playoffs.
No, I know we
but I
do.
think
Yeah,
we got
I
a
know.
shot to be competitive. That's a fact.
Yeah, there was some games we was holding teams down for the longest, and the offense just couldn't do nothing. They just could never do nothing in none of the games, and that's what the problem has been. The offense just can't do nothing, or they go 3 and out, and the defense got to get right back on the field, get right back on the field, get right back on the field.
And then you picking with people on the defense all the time. You're picking with Deontay Banks. What you picking with him for? And then you losing games like that. I don't particularly like Hyatt as a number 2 receiver, but put him out there. Make him learn.
Right.
Put Evan Neal big ass out there and make him learn. We
Play
already
guard.
in our ass,
Right.
bro. Then you take Drew Lock, and you don't even start Drew Lock. You start Tommy DeVito before him. Make that make sense.
That's why I said this year's going to be a pivotal year, man. I want to see what's going to happen, man. I want to see what's going to happen, bro.
Yeah, man. But yeah, we about to wrap this up, y'all. So I want to hit a couple comments, man, before we leave, man. Definitely appreciate all y'all tapping in. I appreciate, man, the 90 in the chat all day long, man. Thank y'all, man. We love doing this every Sunday. New York Giants Conversations. Giants fans tap in. Sports fans tap in. Talk your talk. Talk Giants. Talk football, man. We love doing this. Let's get into some comments. Mosley says, I like the Winston signing. Let's trade for Joe Milton and Keenan Allen. Oh, man. Can't do it. Keenan Allen, the free agent. You just have to sign him, but I think he's going back to the Chargers.
Going back to
Milton, I think he might be going back to the Chargers. I don't think the Bears are going to re-sign him. And he reports is he wants to go back out west. That's why I think he's going to end up back with the Chargers.
Yeah, he'll be with the Chargers or the Raiders.
Or the Raiders.
Yeah, Raiders.
He go back to the Chargers. He probably
hell, the Rams. Yeah, what if he end up? God, dog. You got Adams, Puka, and Keenan.
That would be crazy. But somebody will have to take a back road, though. You know what I'm saying? So,
but Joe Milton, I'm not trading for Joe Milton, man. I mean, just take your quarterback. This is a young quarterback. You got the 3rd overall pick in the draft. Why trade a pick for somebody else's quarterback that they don't want? Nah, man.
Yeah, that's a scam, man.
They're
trying to get a 3rd round pick for a guy that played one good game against backups.
Ain't nobody
make
doing
it make sense,
bro. Ain't nobody doing that. That's
Miss
what they
Trina
want.
says, I am confused. Why am I still hearing the Giants are still looking for a quarterback? I'm confused too, Miss Trina. But you know where you get the real news from, right here on the Aboriginal Sports Network with Unpopular Opinion Sports and Big Pat Sports Talk and S God. They're not going to sign Aaron Rodgers or Russell Wilson. They signed Jameis Winston. The people that are reporting that, basically they're clout chasing.
That's a fact.
Basically they're clout chasing. The only news that you should be hearing right now is the Giants looking for their future quarterback in the 2025 draft. Mosley also says, it was said Dable won despite our roster. I think Brian Dable is holding something back. But I think, like Cave said, I don't think he's a quarterback guru, a quarterback whisperer, or anything like that. He has a system that he wants to force on a quarterback. He needs a certain type of quarterback to run. Mike Kafka is a coach that will adjust the system to the quarterback. That's why I think if they're smart, they will let Mike Kafka take back over this offense and build the system for Shedeur Sanders to suit his strength. If they're smart. Yep. But Jay Ferry says we're QB away from being competitive in the National Football League. Competitive.
They open up that philosophy.
Fair.
It could be true.
Competitive, fair. Playoffs.
No.
So, but any last words, man, before we get out of here, fellas, man? This has been a dope show, man. But we're gonna start to wrap it up, man. About to get up out of here, man. Definitely appreciate y'all tapping in. Now, what y'all think, man? Any last words, fellas, man? What y'all think about how this whole thing gonna go down? How y'all feeling? I know, Cave, you down on the Giants. I'm down on the Giants. Pat always tries to stay even kill, somewhat optimistic. How you feeling so far, man? After everything free agency happened, going into the pro days. By the way, y'all, Giants news, the Giants pro days coming up Monday for Cam Ward, Tuesday Quinn Ewers, Wednesday Will Howard, Friday Jackson Dart. The 30th to the 1st, they have owners meetings. Those are always interesting. And April 4th, Shedeur Sanders Pro Day. And April 16th is the last day for top 30 visits. I'm going to be putting those top 30 visits as they come out. Seeing they did meet with Jonah Savianea. I don't know if that is a top 30 visit or not, but they looking for linemen, man. And Savianea is one of the top guards in the class, in my opinion. So we talked to him at the Senior Bowl. He's going to be a beast.
Out of Arizona,
But what's your thoughts, K, man?
Yeah, my thoughts, man. Like I said, I really wish they would have signed Jameis earlier, you know what I'm saying? So that way they could use that money to probably get one of those top guards, you know, in the free agency. I mean, so far, as far as the defense side, I'm cool with what they did on the defense side with Golston, you know, Debo, Holland, you know, guys like that. And I forgot the other guy's name. I forgot his name. The other defensive player.
Roy Robert Harris.
Yeah, those guys and stuff like that. But like I said, I just wish, like I said, they would just sign Jameis Winston earlier. But like I said, it's going to be a wait and see for me this season, man, how they do, man. But like I said, it can't be any worse than last year. So hopefully it's not any worse than last year. Like I said, with some new juice on the team and stuff like that. And the secondary, you know what I'm saying? Because last year our secondary really wasn't that good. So usually that could help us out greatly on the defensive side too. And if you bring in some guys like I said, Debo, Holland, these guys with physicality, that's what I like, you know what I'm saying? So so I think the defense should be much, much better than last year, which, you know, so that's a good thing. So now in the draft, I'm waiting to see what they're going to do. If they're going to take Sanders and then get some offensive linemen, probably another wide receiver. If they're going to go that route. But if they don't, then I'm cool as long as they get another defensive tackles, because this is a defensive tackles draft anyway. You got a lot of young defensive tackles in this draft too. That's good. So got to show up them trenches and stuff like that. Because we signed these guys, but the injury bug always hit us, man, for some reason. So gotta don't want to be cold our pants down. You know what I'm saying? How you sign guys in free agency and then you don't do it in the draft because you say, well, we already got some guys in free agency and they go down. It's like then you left again, like how the offensive line was. You know what I'm saying, when they went down. So just keep showing up the defensive trenches as well as the offensive trenches and stuff like that, man, because we got to get back to being a physical team, man.
Yeah, man. We definitely got to get back to that physicality. You know what I'm saying? So, Pat, how you feeling about this Giants team, man, after free agency, headed into the draft? Can't wait to see these top 30 visits. Can't wait to see these pro days. And the vibe is starting the fog, I should say, is starting to clear up a little bit, man. We're starting to get a little bit of clarity on what this Giants team could potentially look like next year, man.
We're getting a little clarity what this Giants team is going to look like this upcoming season. I will say this. I will be excited to call games for the Giants again this season because of the signing of Jameis Winston. Yeah. You don't know what the hell is going to happen, man. This finna be dope. I am excited to see what this defense can be, though. I think this team will be led by this defense, no doubt, again. And maybe we can get one of those seasons where Dabo's offense sucks, but the team is still good because the defense was rated very high. That's normally when he gets his best work in until he got Josh Allen. So we'll see. We'll see what happens. But I can't wait to see Jameis as a Giant, man. And hopefully John Mara doesn't get away with not drafting one of these Aboriginal quarterbacks in the first round, because that's all that quarterback stuff was about, Miss Trina. They're still trying to see if they could get away with, what if we bring in 2 veterans and we don't have to draft a quarterback? You see what I'm saying? That's what that's about. To be honest with you, you got people like Tiki Barber, Brandon Jacobs, Amani Toomer, Chris Canty, all these older Giants players. And notice I said all those players have one thing in common. You do the math. So if I get those guys saying some stuff about not drafting Shedeur Sanders, it may be, I could get away with it. That's what I think. It may not be true. That's just my opinion. And I have a very strong hunch that's what it's about. Trying to find a way to not bring somebody like Shedeur Sanders here because it's a change of culture that the Giants have never seen before. They've had brash players that have been spoken out, but they've never been the face of the Giants as such. Michael Strahan was not a super brash, outspoken dude. He told the line, and look what he got after his career. Lawrence Taylor was out of control. You see what I'm saying? But he really wasn't a talker like that. Like, you can still get away with it with Lawrence Taylor because he was an edge rusher. This is going to be the quarterback position. This is going to be the quarterback position. And this is the position that everybody talks to every week. This is the guy that everybody's going to be talking about every week in national media news. This is going to be national media news. They're going to be talking about Shedeur Sanders throughout the whole season, especially when he starts playing. If he starts from week 1 to week 18, you're going to hear Shedeur Sanders' name in news with the Giants every single week. And is that the type of person that John Mara wants to see his franchise being represented by every single week? He's not used to that. He does have a preference. Kerry Collins, Jeff Hostetler, Phil Simms, Danny Cannell, Dave Brown, Eli Manning.
Yes, sir.
Drew Lott, Daniel Jones.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
You know what I'm saying? So it's going to be exciting to see what this Giants franchise does. And everybody, this is not a race thing. This is just about doing the right thing. If you want to do right by the Giants and compete in this division ever again. Because Jaden Daniels ain't going nowhere. I was watching film on him last night. He is not going anywhere. The only way that kid is going to look bad is if that offensive line plays like the 2021 offensive line for the Giants. That's the only way. And then they're adding weapons for him too. Jalen Hurts, he's not going anywhere. That Eagles team is not going anywhere. You look at all the young players that they've drafted. Even when those boy contract years hit, they have drafted so well that those dudes can take over and still be the Eagles. I promise you. As long as A.J. Brown is living and breathing, they are good. That's the only way the Eagles going to fall off to me if A.J. Brown disappears. And then you got the Cowboys. Jerry Jones always going to find his way to make them relevant. I'll give him that. They ain't going to win no Super Bowl, but they always going to be relevant. And guess what? They always going to kick your ass. That's a fact.
Iman, that's the thing, bro. Those players why would they say that? Unless they're being told to. Put 2 and 2 together. They never had this vibe when Daniel Jones was the quarterback. See what I'm saying?
That's an absolute fact.
So now they got this vibe that they don't want no quarterback now because a brother's up next. You got to make it make sense. That's why it don't make no sense, because I know for a fact they're being told to say that. I know Tiki Barber is in John Mara's pocket directly. And I'm saying it, NYG. I don't want to put no heat on my channel, on my network channel, but I know for a fact those dudes are getting paid to talk that shit. I bet it could pull up right now, any one of them. And we are fair dudes over here. I want to ask some of these tough questions. Why did y'all have that vibe when Daniel Jones was the quarterback? Why y'all had that vibe? Why y'all ain't had that vibe? Y'all wanted this dude gone at all costs. At all costs. And you got mad because they didn't take Penix, a brother. They didn't take Haskins, a brother. They passed on quarterbacks like, in previous drafts. Anthony Richardson's, Malik Willis's. That y'all was all talking about. Keep it a buck.
I'm gonna ask the chat this. Put a 1 in the chat if you want Big Pat to call in to WFAN and speak to Tiki Barber. I was thinking about doing that the other day. I'll be at work when they on there, and I think I could get in there just like I got in to talk to P. Dot. So I'm gonna call in a WFAN, and I'm gonna speak to Tiki Barber, and I'm gonna see if you'll allow me to talk some real talk to him and not call me a jackass and throw me off throw me off the air. But that dude was being a jackass. I'm gonna be honest, he was being a jackass. But I will ask him.
You let me know when you on there, and I'll make sure I screen record.
You know what I'm saying? So I'm gonna see if I'm gonna get on WFAN, and I'll get that video out there to you guys. So I do have some real questions to ask Mr. Tiki Barber, and he's not a bad person. He's not. But he's very loyal. Yeah, he's very loyal.
From Roanoke, Virginia, man. My people from there, man. Tiki's from the same town my people from. So I know I have intel on Tiki. I know people that know his people that know his people that,
if you know who Tiki Barber is, that dude really does love the Mara family. They actually did right by him while he was there. That's a fact. So I understand the loyalty. But I do believe there's been some monetary gain for saying things like draft Jackson Dart. You know what I'm saying? And if we can have a real conversation, I would love to have a real conversation with Tiki Barber. And it's not going to be no bashing. I just want to see what's your thought process, because I read energy and I'll be able to tell if you're just telling me a bullshit lie. Because I don't believe he believes drafting Jackson Dart is the right thing. I know he doesn't believe that, but he will say it. But we'll get some real information. You know what I'm saying? Be able to reach one of the older Giants players. I wish I could talk to Brandon Jacobs. Now, if I was talking to him face to face, I'd back up a little bit. That's a big dude. I'll fight him, but I think I'll lose.
And Jacobs the same thing, man. Come on, bro.
Yeah.
Jacobs, Jacobs a brother. Like
that's
Kiki
a
got a little
real
preppiness to him, but Brett Jacobs is a brother, bro. You out of pocket, bro.
I'll say
he's a
this,
goon.
man. Then Eli Manning, then Manning vouch for Daniel Jones. How'd that work out? You know what I'm saying? So he gonna vouch for Jackson Dart too? How that's gonna work out?
And he's vouching for Jackson Dart because it's the Ole Miss ties, and
I know.
Like I said, it's the let me get off here before I say something.
You already know what it is, man. But yo,
my Gators came back and won against UConn. We still alive, baby.
They're going to the Sweet 16.
Yes,
all
sir.
right. Now, y'all tune in, man. Look out for that mock draft that we got coming out, man. Look out for those draft journals so you can get all the scoop on the college players, man. And we got to do one on Sedor. Probably going to do one on Jackson Dart. If y'all want to see Jackson Dart, So, hey, we got a lot cooking. We got a lot of defensive players coming out, wide receiver classes loaded, man. It's a lot of good receivers coming out in this class, which is why I want the Giants to get a replacement for those two nuisances named Wanda Robinson and Jalen Hyatt. But that being said, man, we're going to get up out of here, man. Appreciate everybody in the chat. This has been Giants Conversation. You guys know where to find us every Sunday right here on the Aboriginal Sports Network with me, myself, Unpopular Opinion Sports, Big Pat Sports Talk, and the whole Aboriginal Sports Network crew. Now, until next time, y'all, we up out of here. Let's get it. Peace. You know how we do it.
K, the Raisin Man.
Or just the Giants organization that really put Daniel Jones in the forefront and carried him in that type of light, man, on national TV.
$223. The suspension also opens the door for the Texans to release Al-Shahir afterwards.
Then in 1976, guess who was hired? At Chiefs fans. This is where preference plays the biggest.
I'm gonna have to knock this down and get the oohs and ahs of Houston.
Welcome to the Aboriginal Sports Network.